Let you see that Red, put this in your trivia book, has won the final dot race here. Red it was.
That is especially for Randy Ananis, who called the other night in a talk show and said his wife had become a fan of baseball because she started liking the dot race.
How about, do you like trivia? We've done that for years, too. We've got the winner of our trivia question tonight, which had to do with who hit the last home run on RFK Stadium for the Washington Senators. Answer, Frank Howard off Mike Kekich. He also hit the first home run in this ballpark. First person with the correct answer, Robert Asher of Fort Worth. The 501 Texas Ranger trivia question, who was the Amazing Eagle, and the audio cassette memories of Arlington Stadium. Robert says he lives on Ryan Avenue, so he is a big Ranger fan. And that one was not named after Nolan like the one outside the ballpark here is. Jeff Hewson leads it off. Jeff bounced unassisted to first baseman Hamlin back in the third inning. Foul back. Jeff playing third base, as we told you earlier, Dean Palmer shut down in the 8th inning. There's a Hewson banner. They want him back, too. Well, he's another player that will to win a spot. No balls and 2 strikes.
What a wrecked season for Jeff Hewson this year. Everything went wrong. Shoulder, toe. Jeff saying in an article that appeared in the paper this morning that he hopes the people who saw him before the Kennedy staff tell Kennedy that he's a better player than this.
That's the tough thing, and that's a good point that he made, because all Kennedy and his staff can see is what they see now. And, of course, they haven't seen much.
No, he's a fragile guy who, when he's played, has looked terribly rusty and not swung the bat well.
And 2 strikes. He's coming off his best offensive year last year and a real solid year, particularly when he played second base.
Ooh, we're going to go to 4-2 as the count. Could have sworn that was ball 4.
Well, no. Come on. We don't need this, although they are kind of groovy looking. Houston fans, and that's the first out of the inning. We've got 6 strikeouts for Ray Appier with no walk. Did I miss one? 7, I guess I'm told. Our ace graphics man, Kurt Dykert.
It is 7. 4 for Dreyer.
41,039 the attendance, official attendance. That means they sold all the tickets. And most of them have been used. Here's the first pitch that Ben. Rangers thus have the second highest total in the history of Arlington Stadium.
2,244,000 plus.
There is a strike but that may be the second total, but it's going to be the third total after next year and probably the 4th total after 2 years from now. Records are going to fall in the ballpark in Arlington.
Records are going to fall, too, in Cleveland today. The Indians apparently are going to draw enough folks to wipe out the record set earlier this year for attendance in a 3-game series by Colorado. They're going to draw more than 216,000 for 3 games. Wow.
It is amazing, isn't it? 2 balls and a strike. That's why you read so much commentary and stories about baseball as this is in trouble. Borrow a phrase, the death of baseball is greatly exaggerated. There is nothing wrong. They have some adjustments that need to be made, but there's nothing wrong. There are some financial questions, and they're big questions, but as far as the hearts of the fans are still with it. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Ooh, there's the total for Arlington Stadium
we
over the years.
31,714,747. Foul ball.
Ooh. That looked like it caught Maine on the arm. Yeah. Just what you needed. One more purple spot headed for the offseason, Brent.
Heading to the 7th, George Brett will be leading off, and that could be his last at bat, depending on how things go. And I kind of have a feeling if he gets a base hit, it might be. Lee gets the walk. Lee now been on 2 out of 2 with a single and a walk. First walk given up by Apier. Take time out to quench your thirst at 7-Eleven, your total beverage center, with the best selection of already cold beverages in the variety and sizes you want. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Today's game brought to you by Southwest Airlines, offering frequent flights and low everyday fares, which is why flying Southwest Airlines is just plain smart. There is Brett. We just got the word that Juan Gonzalez has clinched the home run championship. Griffey's game is over. He did not homer. The only reason that he might want to stay in there a couple more times, besides the fact the Rangers have a chance to win the game, would be to win the Major League Championship. Right now he's tied with Bonds, and Bonds, of course, plays in Los Angeles, and that game's just underway. There's a foul ball out of play.
That, by the way, that game is now top 2. Scoreless. It is Solomon Torres, the rookie for the Giants, and Kevin Gross, who's won his last 3 starts for the Dodgers.
David Hulse, who has flied to center and struck out. Slices the ball over to the left side, foul, and into the second or third row of the seats. No balls and 2 strikes. You know, we've talked about the great job Dreyer's done. Well, Apier's been just as good, but the difference is Apier's done this before.
By the way, Greg, the Cowboy game is final. It is Dallas 36, Green Bay 14. A club record-tying 5 field goals from Eddie Murray. From 33, 19, 19, 50, and 48.
Sounds like a good acquisition. That pitch is wide.
Emmitt Smith got one of the touchdowns on a 22-yard, but he left with a hamstring problem in the second half.
Oh, hamstrings, as we know from this baseball season, can be problems for a long time.
He got 71 yards on 13 carries for the day.
Just in case Manuel Lee's thinking about it, he tried to steal earlier and was thrown out.
Mike had a huge receiving day, 7 catches for 155 yards and a touchdown. For the Cowboys, who are now 2-2, and the Packers 1-3.
Count still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Remember, stay with us after the game, and who knows how this game's going to end since nobody has scored, but stay with us because we're going to have all the ceremonies at home plate here. The introduction of the Ranger all-time team, the digging up of home plate, and the transferal of home plate to the new park. Norm's going to go over to the ballpark in Arlington with the first official live telecast from the new ballpark.
Boy, Greg, if I got a note for you about another team, let's just say not finishing on a high note this year after this pitch to David Hulse.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Again, don't go to the refrigerator. George Brett leads off in the 7th.
Greg, is this a fitting way for the season to end for the Mets? They're leading 9-2 in Florida in the bottom of the 9th inning, and we get the note that the game is being delayed by rain. Wouldn't you have a tendency to just call that baby?
They won't wait real long,
no.
I'll tell you.
By the way, it's gone bottom 2nd in L.A. 0-0, Frisco the Dodgers.
Hughes strokes the ball to center field, but McRae, playing shallow, has to move just a few steps back. 2nd out.
Good Lord, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat up the Lions 27-10 for their first one of the year. Detroit scored the first 10 points of the game, and Tampa Bay the last 27.
Doug Strange grounded out and fouled out in his 2 at-bats. The Rangers 2 hits, a double by Franco, and a single by Manuel Lee, and that is it. They have 1 other base runner, and he's on right now. That's Manuel walked. No score in the final game at Arlington Stadium. There's where all games will be played starting next April. The first action, April 1st exhibition. Those New York Mets, if their game is finished by then. There's a shot. It looked fair. It was, foul ball. I want to see that one. I'll tell you why. The first base umpire makes the call after the ball crosses the bag. I want to see if it was over the bag. Remember that the first base bag is the same as a foul. doesn't matter where the ball bounces after it crosses the bag if it was actually over the bag. And that's what Kevin Kennedy's going to argue about. Plus the fact, first base umpire Ed Hitchcock was screened a little bit on that play by both the runner and the first baseman holding the bag. I'm sure that's what he's talking about. Kevin saying the ball in his judgment did not cross the bag. Boy. Remember, it doesn't matter where that bounce is after it crosses the bag. That's quite often mistaken. It matters whether it goes over the top of the bag. It has to bounce before it goes over the bag, fair. But then it's just like a foul pole. 1 ball and 1 strike. Manuel Lee still at first. The count is even at 1-1. Change the hitter. That's on the outside corner. It is 2 balls and a strike. There is no score in the game. Manuel Lee, a walk still there after the fly out by Hulse. There are 2 outs. It appeared to be the breaking ball. It wasn't. They're using different signs as that was not a breaking ball. There's outside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, here is, for the course of this season, the Kevin Kennedy count. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Might as well start the runner.
Manuel Lee gets a little extra step. There he goes. The pitch is slashed to left field. Going over for it, McReynolds. Still going, still going. He can't get it. Here comes Manuel Lee with a mail. He touches third base. And the Rangers have taken a 1-0 lead by Doug Strange.
And Doug Strange got to number 60 and runs batted in. And you know what got him there? Kevin Kennedy starting the runner.
Yeah, the 2-2 count. If he'd had the double on the ball that he hit down the first baseline, it would have just put runners at first and third. This time, he
good pitch. Apier nails down the outside corner. And watch the hit in the mud.
This ball is about 5 pounds heavier than normal when he picked it up to throw it. So Manuel Lee with a big walk. Walks pay off against any pitcher, even the best like Apier. Rangers have a lead. You know, what this points up, Norm, is how important good pitching is, because if your pitching is good enough and you stay with the game, you can even beat the good guys. But if your pitching is going to give up 4 runs early and you're going against a guy like Apier, you don't beat him.
Well, what's marked the Ranger run down the stretch and why they were able to keep pressure so long on the White Sox is that down the stretch, Rogers, Pavlik, and Brown were just terrific pitchers. And now Dryer's chipped in with a couple of really good efforts late.
Don't forget, we got some big action coming up later tonight. The CISL Soccer Championship, same-day delay, 11 o'clock tonight. The Sidekicks and the Sockers here on HSE. Big sports action this weekend on HSE as we see Rafael Palmeiro now with a runner in scoring position. 1 run in, 2 outs, and he foul tips it, and Maine takes a beating on that one.
Boy, here's a shock. Philadelphia lost today when Mitch Williams wild pitched in the winning run.
He hadn't thrown any of those.
It hardly ever happens. There's your Cleveland attendance again.
72,390. Boy, there were some seats in there that I'm surprised they moved that have never been used.
Just had some people sitting on laps to get 72,390.
Well, they have left the Browns now some numbers to shoot at. This will be the sole tenants of the Cleveland Stadium. Fly ball left field. Well, Palmeiro has no chance of hitting 300 this year. He just likes to end, I think, with a base hit. That retires the side. The Rangers get 1 in the 6th. This is the left field corner. You see that area with the glass. That's the box area looking down onto the field of the ballpark in Arlington, the new home of the Rangers, starting next season. We'll be back with the 7th in just a moment. George Brett may be his last at bat. He's 0 for 2, 0 for 10 in the series. And he grounds to second base. There's a story about that one. If it is his last at
That's what he said on his last at-bat he wanted to do, ground to second.
He says he's probably done that more than anybody in history. He's getting a standing ovation as he goes to the dugout. Actually, he wanted it to be with a runner at second base and nobody out, so he's moving the runner over, but he couldn't help it that he had to lead off the inning. But he kind of jokingly said that he's probably hit more balls at second base than anybody in the history of the game.
You know, imagine, if you would, what Steve Dreyer is going to be able to tell his children. I was the last guy that pitched to George Brett if he goes the route.
Yeah.
I was the guy that replaced Nolan Ryan when he walked off the mound. I was the guy that closed Arlington Stadium.
I was the guy that walked Nolan's last batter, too.
I was the guy that walked Nolan's last batter. And right now, I was the guy that pitched the last shutout and got the last win in Arlington Stadium.
You are writing this down at home because, again, we're talking about maybe last. There's Strange, and Dreyer gets the first two out in the seventh. What a job he is doing. And he is getting recognized for it. They have just put up that Juan Gonzalez has won the home run championship. That's what the fan reaction is for. You think he's happy? Here's Gary Gaetti.
Why didn't they wait till Gonzalez came to bat, leading off the next inning?
Actually, I'm thinking one way it's better not to do it that way, because this way his mind, he knows he can be much more relaxed. No emotions other than watching what the pitcher's going to throw him. Gaetti hits one high to the new home run champion, second year in a row in the American League.
Let's see if he's paying attention.
He makes the catch and fires the side. So we have gone through the top of the seventh. Rangers coming up in the bottom of the seventh, and Mr. Gonzalez will lead it off with Franco and Rodriguez to follow. Champion for 1993, Juan Gonzalez. He has struck out twice in this ball game. If he could crack 7, he would have a shot at being the major league champion another year. As it is, he's tied. Average right now, .311. Rangers' only run coming back in the sixth on a double by Doug Strange after Manuel.
I wonder how many people went to the noon kickoff of the Cowboys, watched the half, and came over here. I bet you there were some.
A lot of people here now. Gonzalez cool again, no balls and 2 strikes.
I wonder what the attendance figure is going to be in Dallas-Fort Worth when you add sold-out Rangers, sold-out Cowboys, sidekicks tonight, Trinity Meadows Racing, and the big gymnastics exhibition with all the best gymnasts in the world at SMU tonight. 120, 125,000?
Yeah. Real good chance. Way wide with the pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One ball and 2 strikes. And he strikes out. Well, on the home run Sun championship. He fans 3 times, but Rangers at least have the lead, 1-0. Let's take a look at the scoreboard here on the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by your neighborhood 7-Eleven store.
Oh, boy, the Milwaukee and Boston announcers must be really happy about going into the 13th in Fenway in this last game of the season. Mike Stanley's base hit in the bottom of the 9th. That's the last Ernie Harwell announces as a Tiger announcer. In Baltimore, Toronto warms up for the playoffs, thumping the Orioles.
Franco has a double and 2 at-bats. It is, as I said, conceivable that Franco may be having his bat here at Arlington Stadium. Anybody with a contract up is always possible that they would not be back.
Joe Carter hit his 32nd and 33rd in this game, and Hoyles is 29th. Chicago beats Cleveland 4-2 for Jason Beret. I'm sorry, that should be 4-0 for Jason Beret. Minnesota wins for Kennedy, and Oakland's gotten 3 in the first for Bobby Witt. And they lead California 3-1.
Julio. Well, they hope he's here, too. Those guys brought a bunch of signs out there. It's the same people. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And that one's wide. It is 2 balls and 2 strikes.
We've discussed the 2 free agents, Palmeiro and Franco. We should discuss a third. Gino Petrali's also going to be free at the end of the season, and only 2 men have ever spent more time on the Ranger roster than Petrali, and that's Jim Sundberg and Toby Harrah.
Franco slashes it back. Once again, it's a case where I think if everything were equal, Kevin Kennedy would like to have most of all the same people back next year. The problem is everything isn't equal when you get into contracts and free agency and things of that nature, and there will be some changes that aren't necessarily made for the same reasons they used to be made back in the 50s.
By the way, Kennedy has also informed ownership that he would like them to pick up the option of Chris James' contract to bring him back as a spare part outfielder.
Like what he showed him on the road. The strikeout of Franco, and there are 2 outs. You know, interesting sideline on Chris. He's been with the club, 2 weeks? Hasn't played a home game. And he won't, it appears, because of the injury. We've been talking about how good Dreyer has been. Well, Apier hasn't been too shabby. Only 3 hits allowed. He's now struck out 2 in a row here. And Rodriguez, one of them, he's 0 for 2. He struck out on the 2nd and grounded out on the 5th. Rodriguez will hit over 270 this year. He's at 273 now, and 0 for 2.
Kevin Kennedy's announced that he wants his entire staff back, but the morning news today reporting that man, batting coach Willie Upshaw, they may have to fight to keep, that Toronto may be interested in rehiring Willie Upshaw to go to the Blue Jays staff.
Gee, John Olerud did okay without him this year.
Yeah.
John's going to win the batting championship. Came into today hitting .363 and had a 31-point lead over Paul Molitor.
Kevin Kennedy last year, if there's an opening on his staff, last year wanted to hire Tim Johnson away from the Expos, who's probably his best friend in baseball. The dugout coach to Felipe Alou, but today the Expos announced Johnson had been invited back to the staff next year.
10 strikeouts for Apier. The Rangers are struck out in order in the 7th. We'll go to the 8th. It's 1-0 Texas. And now let's take a look at the upcoming Rangers schedule. That's right, there will be one. Be till next year. The ballpark at Arlington and some selected road games scheduled to be announced in the early spring of '94. We'll be back. We'll tell you which ones when the time comes. That park will be in various stages of dismantling by next year, but it won't be gone. And you know, the folks who own that hotel, they kind of had a pretty good location, didn't they? Yeah.
The new park, they've moved 78,000 truckloads of dirt. They've poured 60,000 cubic feet of concrete, 4,800 tons of steel, and they've bought 40,000 gallons of green paint. That's the color scheme for the walls, you can bet, huh? I would say so. If it isn't, there's going to be a bunch of trim, Greg.
That's the traditional color of ballparks and seats, and the fly ball on the first ball popped left side. Jeff Houston says, come down, please. It does.
Well, hey, if the season started tomorrow, Steve Dreyer would be in my rotation. How about yours?
Tell you what, he's pitching in place of Nolan Ryan, and except for the strikeouts, Nolan couldn't have done any better. Steve has only given up 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. McReynolds the hitter. McReynolds was retired on a play by Houston back in the 2nd inning and then singled in the 5th. So he's hit the ball well both times.
By the way, as it stands right now, Doug Strange has the last hit in this ballpark.
And the last home run is Ducey's yesterday.
The last strikeout is whoever Kevin Apier last.
That's right. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Doesn't look like he's going to be touched anytime soon from the last couple of innings.
1 and 2, I'll tell you. It looked like McReynolds had him figured out with a couple of well-hit balls, and now he's been fooled badly. And again, actually what we talked about, what Apier does. He's got a lot of different pitches, and he moves them around and cuts the corners with them. That ball's hit hard, though. So a little premature in saying McReynolds had been stopped, as he's going to go into second base.
Hurry,
with
Kevin.
A close double. I'll tell you what, if that ball, if it had not been out there, there's no way he gets a double on that. The ball slowed down, and you got to see Ducey's arm.
Kevin McReynolds barely avoided embarrassment on the last day of the season. About halfway to second base, he coasted, assuming, oh, this guy can't make this even close.
Osteen's going to come out and check with some activity starting in the bullpen, but just starting. Here's the attendance story for 1993, 2,244,616, an all-time 22 years, 31,714,746. And 41,000 or so of them are here right now. The conference breaks up. Ranger bullpen, as we said, it's Hinkie that's loosening. There you see an update from the
base hit by Dave Hansen, drives in Dodger pitcher Kevin Gross. And Atlanta's starting to get just a little bit encouraged.
There's Hinkie loosening up in the Ranger pen. Out now, Gagne has bounced unassisted to Palmeiro and hit into a fielder's choice. Fly ball deep left field toward the line, curving toward the line. It is a fair ball home run. Greg Gagne with a 2-run homer, and the Rangers trail it 2-1. He has put the Royals on top on the first pitch. Dreyer giving up his 7th home run at a bad time on base. And Gagne now the holder of the final home run in the ballpark. Ground ball out to second base off the bat of Lean. 2 outs.
By the way, that assures George Brett will bat in the 9th inning.
Oh, just hung it.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't a strike, though.
It wasn't a bad pitch, actually. Gagne got around on a ball up.
Well, it was
and
a bad pitch. It wasn't a strike. It was a ball.
What I'm saying is, from a pitcher standpoint, you don't figure that ball gets hit out of the park.
Well, first of all, you're surprised if he can keep it fair. Here's Jose, and Jose hits the ball hard to left field. Gonzalez is on the horse, back toward the wall. Looking up, it's off the base of the wall. Ball picked up there by Hulse and returned to the infield on a double by Jose. And it would seem that the string is out here for Dreyer, who's pitched a fine game. And Kevin Kennedy has to make a decision. Brian McCray, the hitter, next.
Center fielder Brian McCray.
A lot of lineup checking. A lot of defense checking.
If you're Kennedy, you'd love to have left Dreyer in to get the side out in the 8th and give the Rangers a chance to rally, win the game for him.
Well, either the conference with Rodriguez has been directed to stall to wait till they get either Patterson or White Henke was up, but he sat down once the Rangers fell behind. Or he's going to go one more here and see if he can get McRae and end the inning. And that would appear to be the case. Off the hands of some fans below us. No balls and a strike. McRae has grounded out, flied out, and struck out. Royals have 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors. The Rangers 1 run, 3 no errors. Chopper to the right side, and he'll get out of the inning. 2 runs scored, however. The Rangers now have to come from behind. Been a good game for Dreyer, but I know he's disappointed as the Rangers come up in the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Ducey, Houston, and Lee due up. Rangers down by a run. Sports Day front page news. Goodbye to Arlington Stadium. Catch all the action in Sports Day every day only in the Dallas Morning News. And the headline on opening day next year, our first telecast will be, hello. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th. The Rangers now down by a run with Ducey, Houston, and Lee.
For the Rangers right fielder, Rob Ducey.
Well, Ducey had the last home run in this ballpark until Gagne just hit one. Maybe he can hit another one. Although that's a tough act against Apier. Apier has only 3 hits. Rangers have 2 chances now to get at least 1 run. And the first pitch is a strike.
Meanwhile, down in the Royals' pen, the snuffer up and at work again.
Why it would be nice if the Rangers could hit one out of the park before it changes. It's hard to get a rally going and not get Montgomery in time.
Well, we can drag out that stat one more time this season if you'd like.
About the Royals in the 9th inning. 1 run, 1 ball, and 1 strike.
The Rangers don't get a run here. They would trail into the 9th. In Kansas City's led into the 9th this year. They are 64-0. Last year, their record in games they led into the 9th, they were 64-0.
Fly ball deep to the track, but that's all to the track, and it's caught, 1 out.
Dating all the way back to late 1990, the Royals have won 144 straight games in which they led going to the 9th.
Update from L.A.
Eric Karros double drove in Dave Hansen. The Giants did get out of a man at 2nd and 3rd and 2-out jam in that inning, but the Dodgers have.
Well, the Giants have done it to the Dodgers on the last day before. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Dodgers have a chance. Houston drops down a bunt. Guidey was looking for it. He was actually coming in and makes the play. 2 down. Good idea by Jeff to get a base run. Guidey made the play. The bunt was a little hard. 2 outs. Now Manuel Lee. Well, if the Rangers don't get anything going here in the 8th, in the 9th they will at least have the top of the batting order. And the chance to see Palmeiro one last time. Ranger fans certainly hope that's not the case.
Well, we're going to see George one more time.
Yeah, George will be leading off. George Brett. He hasn't had a hit in the series, and so this is his last chance, barring the Rangers tying it in extra innings. 1 strikes to Lee. Base hit, Manuel Lee. He has really finished strong, and there's another guy that the Rangers can be happy with the way it finished for him. 2 for 2 with a walk in this game. He has scored the Rangers' lone run, and David Hulse will be the hitter.
The Rangers have a lot of ups this season. David coming to the plate has proven he can lead off and play center field. Roger Pavlik and Kenny Rogers have proven they can start and start effectively. Maybe we should also add that man to the list of the brightest lights of the season. Kevin Kennedy has proven he can manage very well in the major leagues.
He's piloted only the 2nd Ranger team in place for first time since 1986 in the 2nd place. And with a great deal of adversity. A great deal of adversity. Remember, this everyday lineup was going to be Gonzalez, Hulse, Waco in the outfield. Palmer, Lee, Rifkin. Liner retires the side. So the at-bat by Hulse lasts 1 pitch. We have gone through 8. It is Kansas City 2, the Rangers 1. Here comes George Brett, 1 last time. George Brett will be coming to the plate for the last time in this ballgame. The crowd reacting right now to a video that's on the screen, some of the highlights of Nolan Ryan's career. But you can be sure that when George Brett comes to the plate, again, the crowd will give him a great ovation. He's good time because Tom Henke has come in to pitch here in the 9th inning for the Rangers. But if George has his way, his team will win. And if his team wins, this will be his last at-bat. Here's George Brett and a standing ovation once again.
Pay attention, please. Now pitching for the Rangers. Number 50.
Come out, and there he comes.
Hickey now pitching for the Rangers.
Kind of poor timing, really, the video with George Brett's last at-bat, because it sort of stood him up, although half these people were, now they're all Brett. In fact, the Rangers off the dugout bench.
Well,
strike.
It's almost certainly the last at bat, or the extra innings, in a spectacular career against the team he hit his first home run off.
He won, and he just fouled it out of play. That was that's a pitch you're supposed to hit, George.
It was in this stadium that Brett hit a homer off Fergie Jenkins. It was in this stadium that Brett had his 30-game hitting streak stopped.
Chopper to the shortstop. Clear for a base hit. George Brett has finished with a base hit.
How about a runner for?
That's a sure bet. I saw a runner getting ready to come out, but that was only the extra large bat boy got down there. Here's Hamlin.
You know, you can bet one thing. George was probably asked for the game if he wanted to come out for a runner. And that's not the way George plays the game, though. When you really think about it,
that's true.
This is the way George Brett should go out. After a base hit, running the bases.
Well, he ought to then go out and play defense in the bottom of the ninth, too. For a while. 2 balls and no strikes.
There's a thought.
Dreyer pitched well. 8 innings, 6 hits. They keep saying 5 hits on the speaker, but 6. And he pitched well, but he gave up the 2-run homer to Gag. 3 balls, no strikes. Now, Brett stole a base yesterday. I don't think he wouldn't want to end his career getting thrown out at second.
Never know.
Not on this pitch. 3-0. Fouled back to the stands. Three balls and a strike. High fly, foul territory. Houston toward the stands, and no room.
Won't be any room in the new park there either.
No, everybody's going to be close. Sidelines are going to be great, and there will be more people between the foul lines. lot smaller terrace or bleacher area.
Jeff Granger. That was
yeah.
Jeff Granger.
Yeah, he's down there.
Off the bench.
That's right. Jeff's former Aggie baseball star, of course, quarterback. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Hamlin. Got it.
Oh, Hamlin says, come on. And he may have a proper complaint.
Gary Gaetti.
What do you think, Craig?
A lot of movement. Well, it was in the glove. The only thing you can tell there is a camera shot from the sky looking straight down, because certainly he didn't move to the time it got to the glove. Here's Gaetti. Gaetti has a base hit in 3 at-bats. Foul ball. Again, in the Rangers' 9th, Strange, Palmeiro, Gonzalez, and Franco. The right people are coming up to get a run, if it's possible.
Now, if none of these people and none of those people get a hit, guess who has the last hit in Arlington Stadium?
You just saw him. He's down at first base. George Brett. Wouldn't that be something? He'd his first home run here, and he would get his last hit.
Greg, they waited an hour and 16 minutes in the bottom of the 9th before they called the Mets-Florida game with the score 9-2.
Once again, the integrity of the game cannot be questioned.
An exclamation to the end of the Mets season. It ends as the water builds in Florida.
The only thing worse is when they leave Miami, someone mistakes them for tourists. Gaetti hits one up and over. Now the Rangers are in big trouble. As far as winning this ball game, will come around and score. And Gary Gaetti now has the final home run in the ballpark so far. Brett getting an ovation as he touches home plate for the last time. He also doesn't have the last hit in the ballpark anymore.
Last hit, last homer.
That was a pretty bad pitch. That was up in his shoulders.
But, you know, role Hankey's not done well in. He's done well in closer situations, but as we've seen before, when he comes into games where the game literally isn't on the line, Hankey, like a lot of relievers, a lot of closers don't do well in this situation. Remember, that's the situation Jeff Russell always used to have such trouble.
1 ball and 1 strike. Two balls and a strike. Again, don't forget, the ball game, you always want the ball club to close on a winning note. The significance of the game isn't who wins and loses today. Rangers locked into second place. The Royals locked into third place. It's the fact that this is it. Strange with a backhand. A flip from his knees. Oh, yes. Again, showing the kind of play that Doug Strange has been noted for this year. How about that? Kevin McReynolds up now, 2 for 3. He has been the man that really has caused the problems because he was the one man that Dreyer had no luck with the entire game. He hit the ball hard 3 times. The last time, his double with 1 out put him in scoring position. Gagne then hit the home run to put the Royals on top. Royals have shown some long ball in this series. I think, as we pointed out earlier, it's on the road where they hit home runs. Their ballpark is not conducive to home runs. They had hit, I believe the figure was 22 more home runs on the road than at home, and now that's up to 24. Some of you may be having some funny views on your screen. We're having some sunspots that are causing some satellite transmission. Those will pass, but they are causing some problems for some of you. the Royals count now is 75 home runs on the road and 50 at home. That's really wild. That shows the ballpark. That is direct. Bouncing ball, Lee at shortstop. And that retires the side. In the inning, 2 more runs on another 2-run homer. For 2 hits, no errors, nobody left. Rangers coming up for the last time in Arlington Stadium, trailing by 3. Strange, Palmeiro, and Gonzalez, and we'll be back. Williams, George Brett in his final at bat. Fastball kind of rode away. He got it past Kenny Lee up the middle. Ball base hit. And that was our Sherwin-Williams play of the game. Manny sometimes had more range than that, but, you know, that was our Sherwin-Williams play of the game. George Brett with the final hit of his great career. Will face a new pitcher, not maybe good news, although Apier was pretty strong, and Jeff Montgomery did pitch yesterday. Maybe that'll help. Montgomery is the ace. There's his number, 7-5, 229, 44 saves, the big story, best in the American League. Good strikeout to walk ratio. Jeff Montgomery. Who was the last batter struck out by Nolan Ryan? How about Kirby Puckett? That was his last batter struck out in this ballpark. Kirby Puckett. The last batter that Nolan Ryan struck out in Arlington Stadium was Kirby Puckett. Here's Doug Strange now. That, of course, note brought to you by the folks at Advil. There. Royals 4, Rangers 1. Jeff Montgomery got the save yesterday. That ball is dropping into center field. McRae coming over, and he's got plenty of room, and there's 1 out. Norm has left us. He is headed toward the ballpark in Arlington. Never again. Norm Hitzges broadcast from Arlington Stadium.
First baseman, Rafael Palmeiro.
Here's Palmeiro, and the fans hope against hope that he isn't seeing his last at bat in a Ranger uniform. Palmeiro is 0 for 3. And he fouls it. He's sort of like George Brett running on a string in this series and not getting any hits. Rafi was 0 for 5 yesterday and 1 for 3 in the first game, so just 1 hit in the series. That is a ball. Jeff Montgomery, the relief ace, started his career with Cincinnati and found his big success with the Kansas City Royals. As the ball is chopped foul. Time to announce our grand prize winner in the Desenex Itchin' to Steal contest. The lucky winner spends a weekend at spring training with the Rangers, including round-trip airfare, lodging, and tickets to a game. The grand prize winner is Janet Larson of Fort Worth. Congratulations, Janet, and thank you, Desenex and Albertsons, who conducted the contest for us. Desenex Itchin'. Grand prize winner Janet Larson. She gets to go to spring training a whole weekend next spring. Also tickets to a game. And Palmeiro strikes out. Started the day at 297. He is, we're guessing, at about 295, somewhere in that neighborhood, his final average. And now Juan Gonzalez, who has struck out 3 times today, but also clinched the American League Home Run Championship when Ken Griffey Jr. did not hit one in the Seattle finale. But again, if he hits one more, he's got a chance to be the Major League Home Run champ by himself. But he doesn't. Instead, goodbye Arlington Stadium. It's over. For the record, the final out, a ground ball by Juan Gonzalez to shortstop Gagne. Gagne standing right next to Gary Gaetti, who hit the last home run in this ballpark. And there will be a ceremony. We're staying right here. In fact, already the Rangers, of course, congratulating each other.
The introduction of the all-time team.
Rafael Palmeiro's moved out to first base, and he's picking up first base. He is taking first base back to the dugout, apparently just in case. Just in case. That's been his base here at Arlington Stadium. Of course, it's got the special insignia on it. and I think he wants that as a souvenir. This was a quick game, 2 hours and 16 minutes, and we'll be back to recap this one and get the ceremonies underway in just a moment. Digging up of home plate, it's already been loosened, we might add, and the transferal of it to the other ballpark. This is the final summary from Arlington Stadium, with Kansas City winning it 4-1, 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors, 3 left. Texas 1 runs, 4 hits, no errors. They left 3. Apier got the final victory in this ball yard, 18-8. Montgomery a 45th save. He leads the league in that category. Dreyer, the losing pitcher, 3-3. And the final 2 home runs not hit by the Rangers, hit by and Gaetti. Gaetti with the final home run in the ball yard as the Rangers go down to defeat and finish the season